Why LinkedIn? Because 49% of LinkedIn members have a household income of more than 75K US dollars. So if you are looking for high ticket clients, looking for enterprise deals, looking for things like that, then LinkedIn is really no better place to be.
Hey friends, it's Steve. Want to know how a $5 book lands a $5,000 client? I've recorded a 15-minute video showing you our magnetic author method. It's up now at magneticauthor.co/video. Welcome to the Unstoppable CEO podcast. I'm your host, Steve Gordon, and we got a fantastic interview for you today. If you have ever wondered, how do I get clients on LinkedIn? What exactly should I be doing on LinkedIn in 2022? Then today is the interview for you. I've got ex-LinkedIn employee turned CEO of the In Academy. Salina Yeung she's a LinkedIn expert and coach. And as I said, an ex-LinkedIn employee, so she knows all of the ins and outs. She's helped 168 entrepreneurs and small business owners to build strong personal brands and turn their connections into customers, really boost their social engagement on LinkedIn. And while she was at LinkedIn, she trained over 8,000 executives globally and consulted with Fortune 500 brands about the power of personal branding and specifically how to use LinkedIn for business. So this is an episode that you're going to want to pay close attention to. Salina Yeung, welcome to the Unstoppable CEO podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Steve. I'm so excited to share all the great stuff with your audience.
Yeah, this is going to be great. This is a topic, as I was telling you before we started recording, like everybody in our audience is interested in LinkedIn. I think most people see it as a huge potential and kind of an untapped gold mine. But a lot of people are confused and they don't know where to go. So I'm excited to talk about this. Before we get into the meat of it, give everybody a little bit about your background. I know that you worked at LinkedIn, so you really know it from the inside, but tell us a little bit more about your background and how you got to this point of your career.
Absolutely. So I love to call myself the LinkedIn business architect, and I'm the creator for the inacademy.com, just like Steve said. So guys, I'm Salina Yeung. I'm a marketer by trade and started my online business, the In Academy, 2 years ago. And my specialties is really helping small business owner or hungry growth SMB to build a profitable business through using the power of personal branding. And I teach like entrepreneur how to sell better, market better with themselves, and use LinkedIn as their number one driver to turn their LinkedIn connection into paid customers.
Yeah, that's awesome. So for people who are listening and they're thinking, all right, well, I've got a profile. And, I get messages from people and sometimes I send out connections. I'm somewhat active, but maybe I'm not super active. What are some of the things that they should really be thinking about when it comes to LinkedIn? Like, is that where they should put their time? And if so, why?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about that why, because tons of people always say like, oh, like you said, LinkedIn is freaking intimidating because it's like your corporate, your CEOs, your former employer, your ex-colleagues, everybody is there. For someone that is looking to start their business or doing side hustling right now, where should we start, right? So let's untangle 3 really amazing, juicy data so that you know what's the opportunity right there. Number 1 is there's only less than 5% of LinkedIn members are sharing content on a weekly basis on LinkedIn out of 830 million. So the potential for you to be seen in front of business decision makers are so much more, right? And this is like one of the strongest strengths, I believe, on LinkedIn. People are lurker, right? People are just basically strolling through, enjoying content. Maybe they will like here and there, but never comment. So I think that's a huge opportunity for everybody to get in and have more eyeballs on their brand, on their business. Next is LinkedIn sessions have increased 25% year on year with over 358 billion feed updates viewed from back in COVID start. So as you can see, like LinkedIn right now there's so much information, so much opportunity. People are left and right looking for partners, looking for businesses, new businesses, looking for different careers. So to me, this is like another really strong, powerful data that this is the place to go. Last, it's all about the ka-ching, the money, right? Like why LinkedIn? Because 49% of LinkedIn members have a household income of more than 75K US dollars. So if you are looking for high ticket clients, looking for enterprise deals, looking for things like that, then LinkedIn is really no better place to be. So this is the why.
Okay. And when you talk about the engagement, really what you're saying is that you've got a very small number of people posting on LinkedIn, right? And a whole lot of people are now looking at LinkedIn, going on the site and viewing, and more than have ever before. So there's a really big audience there, but it's kind of intimidating when you think about like 5% of, 800 million or whatever. But if you think about it in terms of, okay, well, let's say you've got 1,000 connections. There's only 50 of those 1,000 people sharing information.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to stand out in that kind of a scenario.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you brought this up because like I have so much clients with so little of followings or what I call the community, yet they are signing new businesses left or right because they hone in their profitable niche. They hone in their right messaging. They target and understanding how to find the right people on LinkedIn. And that's why basically your LinkedIn profile becomes a sales machine, your sales page for you that drive instant traffic and better performance than anybody starting their website, right? Building SEO for 3 months, 6 months, maybe even 9 months. Then you hit to the numbers that you're building quickly, less than 30 days with the profile views that you're getting.
Yeah, it's really amazing what you can do with a kind of a small following. So if somebody's listening and they're thinking, okay, well, this sounds great, I want to get started, where should they begin building out their personal brand on LinkedIn?
Absolutely. Love that questions. If the goal is to use LinkedIn for business, I have 3 pillars in my framework that to me, it's like truly work, right? A proven framework. The very first pillars is to make sure from A to Z, you have your entire LinkedIn profile optimization. If you even have your company page, that's better because it will help you to rank higher on both LinkedIn and Google without ever paying for advertising, right? So this will be the very first step to be focusing on. Next, now that you have your sales page, right? It needs to run, it needs to activate, it needs people to know that you exist. Then that comes the content part. Like I talked about earlier, there's only 5% of content creator on LinkedIn. So getting seen in front of business decision maker, it's so much more than ever. So why not doing it? Then you create content that truly builds demand for your business with a really healthy mix of content ratio. And last but not least is really to use those eyeballs and turning those LinkedIn connection into paid customers using relationship selling sales strategies, how to basically sell through DMs, how to have warm conversation with your audience, both, coming in your way inbound as well as outbound. And this is the 3 perfect trinity that is unstoppable as an unstoppable CEO with profile, content that converts all the way to turning your LinkedIn into paid customers.
Oh, that's awesome. Profile, I think, a lot of people are aware of. I don't think a lot of people do it well, but a lot of people are aware of it. I want to kind of jump over that piece because that's sort of like table stakes, I think, on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Talk about content. Like, how do you think about what's the right content mix? What's the right frequency? How do you coach your clients in creating the right mix of content?
Yeah. So I always describe like content should be something that you marry 2 things to. One is something you're very passionate about talking. The other thing is coming from experience, right? Coming from your expertise. And you can marry both of them together. That's like literally your sweet spot of the things that you can share online, your expertise, and build your thought leadership from there. So this is the basis. And once you have nailed that, you'll be able to do the pill list. So for instance, like to give it more in context is easier, right? Because I'm a LinkedIn for business architect. I'm a LinkedIn coach. I talk about LinkedIn hot tips. That's my pillar 1. I talk about women empowerment, pillar 2. Pillar 3, I teach people about entrepreneurship, what to do starting from scratch as a small business owner, right? So these are my 3 content pillars. Once you hold on to that, then you can come up with the ideas really, really quickly. For example, let's put LinkedIn tips, for instance, right? I talk about the power personal branding. I talk about content conversion system on LinkedIn, what is really works. And then I also talk about what is coming on LinkedIn, the latest feature. And people remember you for these 3 pillars all the time. Oh yeah, Salina is the go-to expert when it comes to LinkedIn, right? And that's how that looks like. But to your point about the content ratio, I always believe when you start building out your personal brand or your online presence on LinkedIn is to best coming from a place of serve. Like just keep adding value. The more that you talk about your expertise, people started to follow you because you teach them stuff, you educate them, right? And apart from that, people need to get entertained as well, right? That's why edutainment, that's how I call it, the content works really, really well, especially now on LinkedIn. You see Instagram, I think TikTok, Twitter, they also do this edutainment content really, really well. So the very first piece is really nailing that add value piece. And I would say is around 70% of your content should be just educating, teaching people something, sharing your expertise, how to do X, Y, Z with the niche, with the area of expertise. And then the 30% should be something more like your service, right? You're literally letting people know they are problem aware, they are product aware, which is you, right? Your solution. And then they are banging to their door, please take me as their client. Those type of lead generation content. So that those mixed together, that 100% is the perfect idea to create that content that convert for any businesses.
So you're saying the majority of the content, like 70%, just needs to be that edutainment, like you're educating, you're trying to be entertaining. I know that intimidates a lot of people, but you can be entertaining. Look, we're hopefully being entertaining in this content, so we're practicing what we preach. And that's 70%. And then 30% is for those people who are already at the stage where they're ready to buy. And you've got to tell them what it is that you can do for them, right?
Yeah. Exactly. How can they work with them? Work with you, right? And like, what exactly is your processes when it comes to, okay, yeah, I want to learn LinkedIn for business, but how, right? You teach them, okay, this is my framework. This is my program. Come and join. But you've got to sell them sometimes. And people often forgot to talk about themselves. People often forget to sell themselves too. So the 30% is also really, really important.
Yeah, for sure. So while we're talking about content, let's talk about content format or media. So LinkedIn started off and it was primarily text. You could write posts, you could write articles for a while, but they've expanded. And so now video is a big deal on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn Live video is really great. They've got newsletters as a new offering. So where should people be focusing their time if they've got limited time? Which of these is sort of maybe the preferred method to go?
Yeah, I love that questions a lot because people constantly want to just, rapidly creating content, right? But we talk about, having a goals behind that content pieces is really important. But I will go back to your strength, right? For example, Steve, you are so good with interviewing guests. You use your medium as podcast to get in touch and share your knowledge and expertise using the power of podcasting, right? And going back to you, that the listener listening, what would you like and what sparked you joy of creating and not feeling as a troll to basically show up online for your audience all the time? Then choose that medium. To me, it's video. I really enjoy, public speaking. I'm a public speaker by trade. I love to sort of communicate and market myself and my brand using the power of video. So it was really highly up to you. If you're someone that is so strong with copywriting, you love writing long form posts, then consider, newsletter, because again, it's go back to your strength, right? It's so easy for you to create and share your knowledge using that medium. So I would say with that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great advice. Because if you're going to create content, you've got to be in it for the long haul. And if it's not something that you're excited about doing, it's not going to last very long. So,
Exactly.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about engaging. So if you've created content, you've got people that are seeing that content, and now you want to engage them one-on-one. How do we do that without sort of being one of those people that is spamming? And, I got one this morning. It's like a 1.5-page long pitch from somebody that I just connected with, like, no, I'm not going to respond to that. You're going to the trash pile. So how do you advise people to approach kind of the DM thing so that they don't get caught, in something that's going to hurt their reputation?
Yeah, I love this a lot because obviously I'm assuming, Steve, you got this every day. I got this every day. People just basically, once you accept them, you almost feel so guilty of accepting the connection invite because you give them the invitation or permission to pitch you, or what I love to call pitch slap you right away. And that's not okay, right? Like, think about it. It's like those traditional cold calling. How are you feeling when someone just get your number and intrude your privacy? This is how I felt like when someone is pitch slapping you. So really go back to how you think would leave a really good first impression with your prospect, with someone that you truly, truly want to work with. They're your dream client, they're your ideal customers. Then how would they feel that the entire experience is wonderful with you? Think about that first. Once you have nailed that, then I will start actually building relationships. So for example, if I find, Steve, you're my ideal customers on LinkedIn, I will send you a really personalized note, very short and sweet in the beginning, connect you where you can add a note and say that, hey, Steve, I absolutely love your podcast. I just listened to the Unstoppable CEO podcast with Salina Yeung that day. I learned XYZ. That's it. No pitching, nothing. Usually these type of message have 68% of acceptance rate. Once they accept you, then you can continue having the conversation, right? I would say best, wait until the third or even the fourth conversation to even start bringing up your services, right? Like things like, what's your challenges that you're facing around this time now for your business? What your seasonality of the business? Are you running? Are you crawling? Or are you walking? Things like that to start the conversation. And it's like a ping pong, right? They talk, they share what's their challenge. Then you can start saying, hey, by the way, I help X amount of clients to solve this exact challenge that you have. Would you love me to tell you more? And if they said yes, that's a really good segue to, put anything that you have for a brochure, freebies, or whatever the next step is to go to your ozone, go to your ecosystem. So I would say this is how the step-by-step of engagement should look like.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because, you do see people that try and jump too far, too fast in the relationship. And, I think on the receiving end, we all hate to get that. But sometimes on the sending end, you get so focused on the goal that you want to achieve. Like, I want to reach X number of people a week and I want to, land this many clients by the end of the month and all of that. And we sort of forget these are human beings on the other end. And it's sort of like meeting somebody at a cocktail party, a networking event. You've got to warm them up a little bit. And It's okay to take time to do that. But sometimes I feel like people get a little short-sighted and they want to rush the process.
Absolutely. And I love to sort of explain with my clients with this perfect scenario. Imagine you're going to a bar or a networking event. Someone just come up to you. What's your name? What's your number? What's your email? Can you marry me? This is exactly how it felt when someone just pitch slap you right away, not even taking the time to get to know you and whether that's something you really need, right? Or I'm interested. So that's how I felt when it comes to pitch slap or asking people to date you or marry you right away.
Yeah, and sometimes I think people get so focused on how can I get big numbers, and they don't instead focus on the thing that's effective, which is building the relationship. And I'm going to guess, and I know you work with a lot of clients, and so maybe you have some insight into this, but I'm going to guess that you don't need big numbers if you're building relationships the right way.
100%. And I love that you said behind the screen, it's everyone is human being. We would like to be seen, heard, and understand, right? So going back to the sales cycle, it's true. By the end of the day, there's numbers game here. But if you truly building relationship, the numbers of leads that you have got, you warm them up, the conversation becomes so much easier, right? And faster as a sales cycle. Like let's say the sales cycle of your product is 3 to 6 months. Because you warm them up in the beginning, it makes them much more quicker to convert than someone just basically, playing the numbers game, trying to basically blast all the sales email all at once, right? So these are some of the things that I think it really matters when it comes to, microwaving your audience rather than slow cooking them.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it too. I never thought about it like that, trying to microwave your audience into buying. So with all of the things that are changing on LinkedIn, what do people really need to be thinking about and focusing on? Because I know the platform's always changing. Are there some things that are sort of constant on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I would say so. You mean like in terms of features wise or like trends wise?
Both. I mean, so they're always changing features and adding new things like, LinkedIn Live was new, and then the newsletters and articles used to be big, but now it's not quite so emphasized. Groups used to be a thing and then it went away, and now I hear it's coming back. So how do people deal with some of those changes on the platform and know what they should be doing? Because I think sometimes it can be a little daunting. Like you feel like, where should I focus now? Like, what's the latest trend? And people get really stressed sometimes about making sure that they're optimized on the latest technique.
Yeah, I would say one trend, or not even trends, the backbone of LinkedIn that will never, ever change is having professional conversation and community building. So everything that they do, they always prioritize those two as every features that they do, right? Like LinkedIn Live, like you mentioned, Steve, it's something that they want to bring the audience together, right? Like really have those professional conversations. Newsletters, similarly, like you can nurture your audience through sharing your expertise, and it goes beyond just the LinkedIn platform because it will also email your subscriber once your newsletter is live, right? So those are, I would say, the backbone of LinkedIn that will never, ever change. But if you're saying trends, how to stay up to date, I would actually think you should not, because it's kind of difficult to catch up with social media nowadays, right? Like 4 years ago, 3 years ago, COVID, there's Clubhouse. Now people still talk about Clubhouses, but no longer that like sexy, or you need to get on it. Or if you don't get on it, it was just like the FOMO, right? And then now it's TikTok. I mean, I don't know how long is TikTok, but I do know LinkedIn have been like more than, I think 17 years old, 18. I should know this better. I apologize, but it's like an adult now, right? 18-year-old adult that have never been sort of like shy away that it's the importance of having LinkedIn, having this professional brand. So I would say don't really follow trends or the latest feature. Really go back to how you can add value. How can you share your expertise? How can you continuously lead with integrity, lead with compassion, lead with what you're really good at? I would say you're golden. You will never be in the wrong path.
I love that. That's kind of the first principles of social networking, right? Is give value, connect as a human, and play the long game. And that's great advice. So Salina, I know you work with professionals and with executives, and you help them kind of get their personal brand pulled together and organized, and you help them use LinkedIn to connect with customers. What are some of the ways that you help folks, and where can people find out more about what you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So my latest program is upcoming. It's called LinkedIn for Business Academy. It's coming out in October. And feel free to go to our website, because now we're ready to have like a wait list where anyone could basically subscribe and get to know the latest news about that. It's actually an A to Z framework program that created by me, as well as my former LinkedIn colleagues, to skyrocket your online presence, build a powerful personal brand, really start boosting your social engagement, and turn your LinkedIn connection into paid customers. And why we're doing that? Because I don't want anybody to continue guessing. I want people to start growing, because everyone have got big plans, unstoppable CEO plans. There's zero time to waste. So you know that deep down, if your audience are on LinkedIn, then my question for any one of you that is listening, why are you spending time, or I would say wasting time, on other channels? The easiest platform to monetize is really on LinkedIn, or the platform that your audience is hanging out. So take a look. Our website is theinacademy.com. And if you do want to get like a free resources that I create specially for Steve's wonderful podcast today, is turn your LinkedIn connection into paid customers playbook. It's just /playbook at the end of our website, and you will be able to get a free copy to understand more and get started and monetize your network starting today.
That's awesome. So that's at the InAcademy /playbook, and we'll link that in the show notes. So if you're driving, don't stop right now, but it'll be in the show notes on your podcast player. It'll also be on our website with this episode. That's awesome. Salina, thank you for sharing it. Very generous. And thank you so much for investing some time with me today and sharing your wisdom with everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Steve. It has been a wonderful conversation, and I learned a lot.
Yeah, this has been great. Thank you so much.